Did you get to watch the Super Bowl?
Did I watch the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
So yes and no. We got a lot of calls in the middle of the Super Bowl, so I saw bits and pieces of the Super Bowl. I was very excited, and for anybody that listens from Cincinnati, I'm sorry. I was very excited to see them lose.
Really? Coming from St. Louis, you jumped on the Rams bandwagon?
Oh, no. Don't get me wrong. I wasn't excited that the L.A. Rams won.
Right.
I just really don't like...
I was in the mix. I'm not a Rams hater as much as a lot of people from my circles are, but I wanted Stafford to win, but not as much as I would have rather the Bengals won. So I was a little in the middle. It turned out to be quite a game, but the way that if you didn't see, basically there was little to no offense from the Rams for like 3 quarters in a row, and then they pretty much said, we're going to throw it to Kupp every single play down the field, and they got first down after first down and ended up winning the game.
We ducked out, like we had a call in the middle of what turned out to be an injury, because right in the beginning you had Odell Beckham Jr. doing like 2 and 3 really big opening up plays, and then I don't even see how he got injured.
I don't really understand. I think sooner or later the NFL is probably going to ban turf. And I don't know how long it'll take. I don't know if there's someone, keeping track of how many more knee injuries there are, or they're attributing them to different things. But I really think the turf is the issue. He blew up his knee on a non-contact, maybe had a little bit of a hand on his back, but he kind of made a slight adjustment coming back for the ball that required, to load the knee just a little bit.
Sure.
And I don't really know. It's too early to know exactly what injury he got, but there is just tons of non-contact injuries where guys are blowing up their knees and losing a year out of their career.
Just from having too good of contact with the floor.
There's no give. If you've never played on turf, I've played on a lot of turf fields, and literally amazing for speed.
Yes.
Great for traction.
Fantastic for agility and cutting. It's so much fun to do.
Yeah, and terrible for the black little rubber balls in your shoes. That's a pandemic in itself.
Yes.
But other than that, it's just the traction is great, but you're supposed to. Well, not supposed to. The benefit of the natural grass is the grass would blow out. Right. And would you fall? Would you maybe pull your hamstring or your groin? Sure, fine. Right. I'll take a pulled hamstring over a torn ACL or ligament damage all day long.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same as like a wrecked car. Like, you look at the old cars that would get into a traffic accident and just smash up, and the car would look fine. Like, my first car is a 1983 Caprice Classic. It is a tank on wheels.
Oh yeah. The bread box.
Yeah, when it hits something, it's gonna come away. And you're like, well, wasn't too bad.
Right.
The problem was something took that energy.
Right.
And so in the case of those old cars, it was the person inside. That person inside would take the energy, and they would get massively injured. But new cars crumple, no problem, and the person inside
you
comes
breathe
out,
on them hard, and you just got a blown out door panel.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to replace a dent and a whole bumper on this.
Right.
Well, the same thing's true then on your turf. The turf was supposed to give. Your cleats were supposed to come unglued from the grass. Something down there gave before anything above. And now, like you're saying, once that is locked in and tight, because your cleats will, now you're in a place where your knee is the next weakest link in the chain.
Right.
Boom.
Well, it's interesting. You kind of wonder, did the turf come around because it was speed of game, that was the ultimate, or was it just TV deals? I'm trying to have the best looking field to advertise the products, to put on the best show, and then turf evolved out of that. We tried to make it a little bit more natural with the black and the rubber pebbles, and then you've got different formats of the grass. But they have some of these newer stadiums now. Have you seen this, where they're literally rolling the field out to get natural sunlight? Pretty crazy. Probably insanely expensive.
You mean when they're inside a dome or something? They're just taking the grass outside.
They roll the field outside to get natural sunlight and rain and control the environment. They roll it back in to play the game on.
I have not seen it. That's talk about taking sports really seriously.
That's big money, man. The NFL is insane.
I fully get that it's big money, and that's its own world, but. We're currently, well, not currently. A little bit ago, we had an issue getting toilet paper across America, but we could take a giant football field's worth of grass and put it in sunlight and put it away fully intact. And that technology we have.
Well, unfortunately, think about that, though. How many fields are out there that are going to have to move locations because they need more real estate around them?
Yep.
How many fields are going to have to, they're going to have to change the facility because you need a whole wall to disappear. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah.
So I can't imagine that owners are just all about jumping on the bandwagon, but the knee injury thing, I feel like, is a serious, serious issue. This ankles and knees just getting blown out left and right, especially by the line. Quarterbacks getting twisted up. You get twisted up and your shoe won't move. See ya. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. Because you're not the only force being applied to your knee.
Right.
You've now got, a tackle and thing like that. It is kind of crazy, too, when you talk about a cost perspective, because the cost of, we'll call it $10 million.
Right.
We'll call it $100 million to move a field and create the system to move a field inside and outside. It takes one Patrick Mahomes, and you've got half of that cost right there in his contract. And that's assuming you only ever have one Patrick Mahomes in your entire, organization.
Yeah, no doubt.
So you sit there and you put a couple of.
What did he got paid? $250 million? Isn't that what it was? Something
shoot,
crazy?
then I in my head it was $50 million. So here I am undercutting Patrick Mahomes' great contract. No, so even more is the point. So you've got a contract playing on that field worth way more than the cost of what it takes to move a field from one place to another. It does make financial sense to do that. Like, why would you not?
Yeah, I can't imagine that if you're missing your players for a year or two, that's going to be quite the dead cost, right? You got to pay them no matter what. Most of these guys got guaranteed money if they're big contract guys.
Yeah, and your salary, the amount of money that you're able to pay, it doesn't change based on whether or not you've got a guy benched completely. You get some leeway there, but you don't. You're still organizationally out the cash.
I wonder how many fields would have to build a new field. I don't know how many there are that are actually doing this, to be quite honest. If you can retract the roof, you're still back in the game of having natural grass. It'd be interesting to hear what athletes on the field really have to say about this. Would they, do they like playing on turf better? Do they also realize the risk of injury increase? Do they think that it's an issue? Because, maybe we're just talking on deaf ears. I don't really know. It seems to me that everybody's blowing up their knee way more than I ever remember it growing up and watching games.
Well, it's crazy, though, because in a different sport, when we were growing up, turf was a big thing in baseball. And it changed a lot of how baseball was played because you've got a very, very fast field.
Oh, yeah.
So right now, with way more actual grass fields, you get a ground ball that ends up hitting, turf, it slows down. You don't have a beam that's going all the way to the outfield wall every time it hits grass. And during that time, it really was. It was, you club that thing on a hard line drive, and you might get a double out of it every time because it's going to the wall. Right. They just have to play deep and play off walls. But that's not the case anymore. So then does a hard running back that goes up the middle become more valuable in a non-turf scenario? Because part of your outside, your guy that can kick to the outside and juke and make a guy miss, he has that explosive ability because when he hits turf, he is,
it slows down the game, no doubt about it. Yeah, he'll slow down the game. That's the issue with it is I would imagine that faster speeds and game care was like the ultimate reason for that. But, pulling the roofs back and having natural grass, I'm not real sure that sooner or later the Players Association might have a different opinion about it. But again, we just need to get an interview with some kind of an NFL guy and ask him what he thinks. I'm curious if it's down to that level or if that's not really the issue. It just has to do with guys hitting harder and running faster and maybe not enough recovery time.
This is the end of the season. We watched a guy who's done an entire season.
In the 17 games now, too. You don't forget about that. Now it's a 17-game real season or a regular season plus the playoffs. Everyone gets to make more money, but that body may not like that extra game, too. We'll have to see how that goes as well.
You do need, there's the acute recovery time that you're going to take between games, but then there's the chronic recovery time where it's like, yeah, I need my off season to be X amount of time so that I can actually rebuild all of these micro injuries that have accumulated over a year.
Right.
What's the guy's name that celebrating his 40th birthday and he plays in the
lineman. Yeah, that's awesome.
But a lineman at 40 years old, like that is a lot of continual years of chronic hits. Like the guy gets hit every single game. It's not sometimes I can get away with not getting hit not every game, every play. Like every play he's on the field, he's taking a hit.
He's a tough SOB, that's for sure.
No kidding.
He looks like a bear out there. I thought that was a cool part of the story after, the game started coming to an end. And no, but